Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting another vlog and this one is I read figure skating books. So I have 3 planned. I've already actually read one. I read it for Rebecca's 48-hour bookathon, but I didn't discuss it. And that was Spinning by Tilly Walden. And then I'm also going to read From Lukov with Love. I can't remember who it's by. And then I'm not 100% sure what my 3rd book will be, but I think I'm going to read Anna on the Edge. Funnily enough, I didn't actually plan it this way. It's the week of the World Figure Skating Championships. So I will probably be ranting about it every so often. I'll try and keep it mostly bookish. But I'm mad that the figure skating world is going ahead because it's absolutely ridiculous. And literally yesterday was the first day of practice and they've already had 1 positive COVID test. It's a very strange thing that I love figure skating and I could talk about it for hours, and it is very strange because ice skating, ice hockey, figure skating, any of those things, like they're not sports that we do here. I've never actually done figure skating myself because there's no like permanent rinks. Also, it was really expensive, so I wouldn't have been able to do them anyway, but I've been watching for a while. I can skate around without falling over on my face, and that's as good as I get. But I've been watching it for a good few years now, and I have fallen in love with the sport, and I decided, hey, that would be a fun reading vlog. And yeah, and it overlapped with the World Figure Skating Championships, so I'll probably talk a small bit about that every so often. Again, I'm going to try and keep it mostly bookish, and I'm also going to recommend you some figure skating programs. So if you've never watched figure skating before, I can try and convert you, but also never learn how the scoring works. You'll only be disappointed. Before I start discussing my first read, I'm going to recommend you one, and then once I'm finished discussing it, I'll recommend you another. And YouTube is updating, so I can't click on it. I'll make like a playlist for you to like watch them all. I'm trusting you will do this homework. Actually, I already know what one I want to recommend because this I think is the perfect one to like convince you to watch figure skating. So that is Romeo and Juliet, performed by Junwon Cha. This was his 2018-2019 program. You have to watch it to understand why I'm recommending it. I'll just tell you right now so that you really know that you have to watch it. Disco Romeo and Juliet. So that's recommendation number 1. So now we'll actually discuss the first book I read for this, and that was Spinning by Tilly Walden. This is actually a like graphic memoir, and I'm not going to rate it because it's her life and that's weird, I suppose. But I do have a couple of things that like I didn't love about it. It was her own story kind of, so if she didn't want to discuss certain things, that's perfectly fine. Number 1, I loved the illustrations in it. Like, she illustrated it perfectly and she made it very clear what was happening and like describing things so that people weren't like confused. So I think the way she wrote it was really good and I did enjoy the reading experience of it, but I feel like she didn't actually tackle any of the topics, and I think maybe she just wasn't ready to share that kind of stuff because she like touches on things. Like at one point she said she's always fighting with her mother and then it's never mentioned again. Or she's on about how tough like figure skating is and all of this stuff and like the bullying in it, and she kind of just touched on all of these things and then just moved on really quickly without like discussing it and how it impacted her life. And there is a lot of problems in figure skating and she was more of a synchronized skater. She just like mentioned them and then moved on. And as I said, it was her life. It's her life story, so she can discuss what she wants. But it just felt weird that she was like bringing this stuff up just to never mention it again or discuss it more deeply. I liked the art and I liked the story. I just feel like it was hard to connect with it as you do with a lot. I mean, I've only ever read like 2 other memoirs and those were like, you know, normal written. So I suppose it's probably easier to connect with their story than through like illustration where you have limited time, I suppose. I do recommend it and I do enjoy it, but it didn't kind of blow me away. So that is the first book I read for this, and this was a very short discussion on it because there's not really a lot to say on it. So now that I'm finished that, I'll recommend another skating routine for you. And so I'm going to recommend Seimai, performed by Yuzuru Hanyu from Japan, who is my all-time favorite skater. I love him with every fibre of my being. He's performed it in 3 separate seasons. I'll probably put the Grand Prix final from 2015, and I'll also probably put up his Olympic one, which, while that's not perfect, there's so much emotion in it that it's just so beautiful. And then I'll also put up his 4 Continents one, which has a good few mistakes in it, but he completely rearranged it because they changed the amount of time you have for the free program. He had to rearrange all of his jumps because he didn't want to shorten the step sequence and the choreographed sequence. In case you didn't get, that is where I get my Twitter name from. I think I'm going to start From Lukov with Love today, and I'll get back to you when I know more about it.
Seriously? Into 5th? And her presentation is lower than... Okay, that's an actual joke.
I'm so mad right now. They put Anna first. No. Anna had 2 wrong edge jumps. She doesn't use her toe pick. And she doesn't even have that good of skating skills. And then Rika comes along with a triple axel, all of the correct edges, using her toe pick, and she has good skating skills, and they put her second. That's actually ridiculous. Like, I knew they weren't gonna let Rika win because they're the ISU. They don't want Rika to win. They want one of the Russians to win. And it's so obvious to literally anyone with eyeballs that she should have been in first in the short program. And I literally can't believe that they have the audacity to do that. Also, just remember, Anna didn't even get a level 4 step sequence. Rika did. She got all level 4s. Like, it literally makes no sense. Like, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. I just went to start From Lukov with Love, and it's like 500 pages. Okay, so I'm only like a tiny bit into From Lukov with Love, like only like 20 pages, but it doesn't fall into the trope of like, oh, she's injured and so she decides pair skating is the right thing. So that's a good thing. It more follows she's tried ladies and she's tried pair skating, and she's getting too old for lady skating. It said at one point, only in figure skating and maybe gymnastics could you be considered ancient at the age of 26 years old, which is kind of true. In men's, for example, 26 wouldn't be that old. And same with like pairs. Again, like people in their mid-20s, you see them, but it's ladies. You don't really see 26-year-olds in lady skating. Like, it is true. But also, Karolina Kostner is right there. I mean, she's technically retired now, but she continued skating until she was 31. And she went to 4 Olympics. It has a small bit of girl-on-girl hate. Girls like those shitty too were the reason why I had stopped trying to make friends with other figure skaters earlier on. I don't like girl-on-girl hate in my books, and like, that's like not true. There's like some skaters out there who are like genuinely like best friends with each other. For example, Yuzuru Hanyu and Javier Fernandez. Like Yuzuru, when he moved to Canada to train with Brian Orser, which is where Javier, he like fully expected like this really intense rivalry between the two of them because they were like some of the best men, and they just ended up having the cutest friendship. And then another example, because if you're saying, oh, but she's talking about girls, then another example is Kaori Sakamoto and Mai Miyahara. The two of them, they also train in the same camp, and they're like always there for each other, and they also have a really cute friendship. I'm realizing now this is not a good idea for me to be doing it on the same week as figure skating. I got caught up in the moment. I was like, I get to watch my fave skate again, and I'll read some fun books about figure skating. And I forgot how angry figure skating makes me because of the scoring. It's so ridiculous. And I mean, the thing is, they usually try and hide their favoritism. It put me in a really bad mood. Because I'm mad at figure skating, I'm also mad / nitpicky about the book. So I'm about a quarter of the way into From Lukov with Love. I'm not loving it so far. I mean, I thought it would be like a cute, fun romance, but like, we haven't even gotten to even like any bit of romance. Like, not even any tension. They've literally only been on the page with each other for like a handful of times. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get behind them because Like, he made fun of her weight at one point. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff about weight and like eating jokes and stuff. It's kind of getting on my nerves. So Lukov says to her at one point, "Is that leotard supposed to be a size too small, or?" And then her brother says, "You were chunky back then." She was talking about fears, and she was saying, oh, that some people are afraid of carbs. And she said carbs were great, and if I gained weight, I knew how to lose it. And it's really annoying me because, like, I feel like the author is trying to like touch on some hard things, like how anxious she is and how she like puts all of her value on like how she does in skating, which, like, yeah, those are important topics to talk about. Instead of addressing the fact that eating disorders run rampant in figure skating, especially in ladies figure skating, she's joking about weight, and it doesn't sit right with me. I'm kind of bored of it, to be 100% honest. It's not really capturing my interest. I feel like the author is trying very hard to be like, I know stuff about figure skating, but it just feels very forced and like out of place, and like basically like they copy and pasted a Wikipedia page. I suppose maybe for someone who doesn't watch figure skating and doesn't know what like a salco is, maybe it doesn't seem as out of place, but like it just feels really forced at some points. It did make me laugh, and it also made me kind of mad, again, because I'm mad at figure skating, and especially since like this is set in America. And so she was like, I was better than any of those girls, at least technically. And by technically I meant jumps and spins, the two things I did best. But sometimes being able to jump the highest and spin the fastest wasn't enough. And program component scores, skating skills, transitions, performance and execution, choreography and interpretation were just as important to the total score. Which, oh my god, that feels so forced. Did you have to list every one of the program component scores? And also, that's not true. They say that, oh, program components and technique, the technical element score, oh, they're just as important as each other, and you can be good at one and not the other and still get a good score. But that's not true. That is not the way they work it. That should be the way it's worked, but that isn't. They don't score it like that. So she's saying that she's the best technically, and I'm like, you're from the US. I'm thinking of a particular lady skate from America who's not that good technically and not that good with program component scores, but she is so consistent, like she always lands her jumps. And so the US Federation, they have just pushed her, and so she's getting scores that she doesn't necessarily deserve. But so I'm like mad at this book, but then I'm like, maybe it's set in an alternate universe where, because it's not the ISU, it's the World Skating Union, not the International Skating Union, maybe it's fair. And if so, I want to live in this world. Also, she says that she can jump a triple axel. For reference, about 10 ladies in the world can jump a triple axel, and none of them are pairs ladies. I feel like the author was trying to be like, look how impressive she is, without actually doing research. So yeah. Also, she keeps capitalizing all of the jump names, and I'm like, you don't have to do that. I get so happy for a minute because he did so well. And then I forget this is the ISU. So are they going to score him like he deserves? No. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I do this to myself? I knew it was going to happen, and yet I'm still disappointed that it happened. Like, he's in first for now. They're going to put Nathan ahead of him, even though Nathan won't deserve it. Yuzu's in first. Like, it's only because Nathan fell, but I'm taking it. Nathan was still overscored and Yuzu was still underscored. There's only like 6 points between them when Nathan had a fall and Yuzu went perfect. So there should be more like 20 points between them, but you know what? I'm gonna take what I get. I am not enjoying this. Like, I'm now about a third of the way through and I'm still so bored. And I think it's supposed to be like witty banter, you know, tension between them, but it's just not landing with me. It feels so forced and I feel no connection between them. So yeah, I'm not enjoying it so far, but hopefully it'll get better. I just came across the line, nothing has been rigged since they changed the scoring system. That is not the line I wanted to see today. Also, what makes this so much worse, which this is editing me, the World Championships is over now, but the fact that a Russian ice dance coach literally said over the weekend that, oh, I hope that the Russians won't lose their gold medal in ice dance if the Americans don't get their men's gold. And yeah, it's not rigged. Okay, so I'm 3/4 of the way through From Look Up Love, so I'm getting there and I'm just really not enjoying this. The romance still hasn't started and it's branded as a romance novel. And I don't really feel a connection between the characters anyway. And I'm just generally bored. So it's probably, if I'm gonna guess, probably gonna be about a 2-star. And I'm kind of nearly skimming at this point. I just want to finish it. So we'll see if I can finish it this evening. I'm so fed up with figure skating. I'm back way later because I've just been watching figure skating and then I've been mad at figure skating and I didn't want to film while I was mad. So now I'm kind of getting some filming. Yeah, I get really excited when I hear a skating event is happening and then the scoring happens and then I remember how much I hate figure skating. I'm not even going to talk about it. Not even going to talk about it. But anyway, so I finished From Look Up With Love. So I'll give you 2 more recommendations, one at the start and one when I'm finished talking about it, for 2 more programs you should watch. And I'm going to recommend some ladies this time. So I'm going to recommend The Piano, performed by Kaori Sakamoto, which was her 2018-19 program. So in the end, I gave From Look Up With Love 2 out of 5 stars. I really didn't enjoy it. I was quite bored, to be honest. I gave characters a 3. The thing is, I didn't hate anything about this. Like, I didn't like absolutely despise it or it didn't like make me mad like my other 1 stars, but I didn't enjoy a lot of it. So it is, I feel like a 2 star is a fair rating for it. So characters, a 3. Like, they were okay. I wasn't connected to either of the characters. I thought that there was the start of something interesting with between like relationships between like family and friends and all of that, but it just wasn't quite there. Atmosphere, I gave it 2. No romantic tension. Writing, I gave a 4. Like, it wasn't terrible writing, but also like all of the figure skating mistakes kind of got on my nerves. Plot, I gave a 3. Like, there was a plot, I guess, but I didn't really care about it. Intrigue, I gave it 2. I wasn't that interested in keeping going. Like, there was nothing that was like, it was like, I must find out what happens, because it's pretty predictable. Logic, I gave a 3. They did the epilogue thing that everyone hates. Enjoyment, I gave it 3. That came out as a 2.86, and that is a 2 star. I felt like it should have been like 100 pages shorter. It really dragged on. I felt very forced and there was no chemistry between the main couple and they didn't get together until like 80% through. There were some weird wit jokes which I didn't appreciate, and I would just like to say, I think they should have been in ice dance. Like, I know it made sense for the story and they didn't actually pull the whole trope of she got injured so she's going to do pair skating. Like, they didn't do that, which I appreciated, but it would have made more sense to be ice dance, I think. I mean, because Lukov, the dude in here, he is like super famous. Everyone loves him. And like, pair skating is the least popular, so it just like didn't make sense. Plus, ice dancing is a lot more romantic. I wasn't coming into this to like complain about the fact that the author knows nothing about skating, because that's not true. It's just, I was expecting a fluffy romance, like, you know, like Cutting Edge. Like, I love that movie. Like, does it make any sense figure skating wise? No, but I love it because it's like a cute fluffy romance, and that's what I was expecting from this. And if it had been that way, then I would have been able to look past the mistakes. But instead, the author was actually trying to make this like about the struggles of figure skating, and so because the author was trying to frame this as a book about figure skating with romance as a side plot, then I couldn't look past the skating mistakes. Whereas if it was primarily romance and it just happens to be on ice, I'd be able to look past it way easier. Does that make sense? So that is how I felt about From Look Up With Love. So didn't love it, 2 out of 5 stars. And My second program that I'm going to recommend you watch is Skyfall, performed by Wakaba Higuchi. This was her 2017-2018 program, and I think she brought it back for like one competition in 2019. So yeah, I love that program so much. It's like probably one of my all-time favorites. I mean, all of the ones I'm recommending you are my favorites. Hi everyone, so this is the final clip. I didn't think of what skates to recommend you though. First one, I'll recommend you Beautiful Storm, performed by Rika Kahira. That was her 2018-2019 program. Yeah, I haven't really been updating you, in which I finished my final book, And on the Edge by AJ Sass. And I didn't update you at all because I kind of was just like in a little bit of a mood. By the end, I stopped watching World Figure Skating Championship because some of the calls they were making were questionable at best. Downright cheating at worst. But anyway, I actually haven't put it through Callpile, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come out as a 4-star. And On the Edge is a middle grade story about a skater who has just won the ladies' juvenile championships, and Anna is kind of starting to question her identity because for this season, the program that they're giving is a very princess kind of thing, and that doesn't feel authentic to them. And then they meet a boy who used to have a different name, and then Anna kind of starts to question it, and Anna hears about gender neutral terms and all of this, and it's a really cute story and I actually really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure it's going to come out as a 4-star, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so it was a little boring and it kind of meandered at some points, but I think it was such a beautiful story in the end. So I will say the skating information in there was far more accurate than in From Luke Off With Love. And I wouldn't have minded that anyway, because even if it wasn't accurate, I wouldn't have minded because of the fact it was mostly a coming of age story. It wasn't a figure skating story, primarily about coming out and all of that and discovering who you are. And I think it was really good to use figure skating as kind of nearly a plot device, narrative device, whatever, because sometimes it like the gender roles kind of in figure skating can be so strong. So like only this year have ladies been allowed to wear pants. Like they've been allowed to wear jumpsuits, but only this year they were allowed to wear pants. And I think they said that they would change it from year to year basis basically. And like they expect the men to like skate to really powerful music and not really lyrical pieces, and they expect ladies to skate to really lyrical pieces. And I think that's why choosing to do a story about a non-binary middle grade character in figure skating is really good because of how strict the gender roles are sometimes. So I thought it was a really clever way of doing it, but it wasn't a story about figure skating. It was about Anna and coming to terms with who they are. It was a really beautiful story and I would definitely recommend you check it out. And I think it is so important for like middle grade readers to actually pick up, because even me as an adult, I enjoyed it. I think that brings me to the end. So I have to recommend one more. I kind of want to recommend more Yuzuru Hanyu, but I feel like that's cheating. I'm going to recommend Don Quixote, performed by Yutana Yoshida and Shingo Nishiyama, which they were a junior Japan ice dance team and they've now split up, which I'm very sad about, but it's such a cute routine. I really love it. They had so much potential. So I'll also leave a couple more in the playlist that I find that I really love. But I recommended 6 that I think you should definitely watch. So I read 3 figure skating books. I also watched the World Figure Skating Championships, which I hated with a burning passion. I read Spinning by Tilly Walden. I didn't rate this, but it would probably be about a 4-star, a very important story, beautifully illustrated, but I felt like it glossed over some important subjects. From Look Up With Love, I gave a 2 out of 5 stars. I found it quite boring, to be honest, and it should have been a lot shorter. But in the end, I didn't absolutely hate it, so it was a 2-star. And then And On the Edge, I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, and it was a very cute middle grade with a lot of important messages and themes. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.